MAVEN, the Mars Atmosphere and Volatile Evolutio and Spacecraft, a testament to human ingenuity, launched in the year 2013, arriving at the Red Planet in 2014. For an entire decade, it has performed its duties flawlessly, studying the thin Martian atmosphere, watching solar storms sweep past, measuring the slow leakage of air into space that turned Mars from a warm, wet world into the cold desert it is today. Picture it now, as you settle deeper into comfort. A mechanical sentinel, roughly the size of a school bus, covered in golden insulation and gleaming solar panels. It orbits Mars in a long ellipse, sometimes diving close enough to taste the upper atmosphere, sometimes swinging far out to get a broader view. Every orbit, every measurement, every packet of data sent faithfully back to Earth across millions of miles of empty space. MAVEN has weathered solar storms that would have destroyed lesser machines. It has survived radiation, micrometeorite impacts, the harsh temperature swings of space. It was built to last, and it exceeded every expectation. Year after year, it kept working, kept watching, kept sending its quiet reports home. Engineers at NASA grew comfortable with its reliability. Mission scientists took for granted that when they sent a command, MAVEN would respond. When they checked their monitors each morning, data would be waiting. The spacecraft had become routine, dependable, almost invisible in its consistency, until it saw something it shouldn't have. Let your breath slow as we move forward through time toward the summer of 2025. Part 2. In early July of 2025, astronomers on Earth made a discovery. An interstellar object, only the third ever confirmed, was passing through our solar system. They named it 3I, Atlas, and it was strange. Unlike the first interstellar visitor, the tumbling, cigar-shaped Oumuamua, or the second visitor, the ice-spewing comet Borisov, this object was different. Silent, dark, moving on a trajectory that couldn't be traced back to any known star system. It came from the void between stellar neighborhoods, from the empty spaces where nothing should exist. As it passed through the inner solar system, every telescope that could be spared turned toward it. Ground-based observatories. And, in a decision that would change everything, mission controllers decided to use MAVEN. Mars was in the right position. 3I, Atlas, would pass relatively close to the Red Planet, close enough that MAVEN's cameras, designed primarily for atmospheric work, might be able to capture images of the visitor. Not great images, perhaps, but something. Data points. A different angle than Earth-based observers could provide. The commands were uploaded. MAVEN, faithful as always, oriented itself, pointed its instruments at the coordinates provided, and on a date in early July, let's call it the third day of the 7th month, it took its photographs. Brief exposures, several frames. Light from an object that had traveled between the stars, now captured by a machine orbiting a world that humans had never walked upon. MAVEN stored the images in its memory, prepared to transmit them home. And then, silence. Part 3. The loss of signal. 42 hours after MAVEN photographed 3I Atlas, it stopped responding to commands from Earth. At first, the mission team wasn't alarmed. Communication glitches happen. Sometimes a spacecraft goes into safe mode, a protective state where it shuts down non-essential systems and waits for instructions. Sometimes solar activity interferes with signals. Sometimes you just have to wait. They waited, sent more commands, listened with the giant radio dishes of the Deep Space Network, antennas scattered across the globe that can hear the whisper of a spacecraft's transmitter across hundreds of millions of miles. Nothing. MAVEN, which had spoken faithfully for 10 years, had gone silent. More concerning, the images it had taken of 3I, Atlas, were never received. They should have been transmitted, during the routine data downlink that happens several times per week, but the downlink never occurred. The last successful contact was before the photographs were taken. The images existed somewhere in Maven's memory banks, stored in radiation-hardened solid-state drives, waiting to be retrieved. But the spacecraft that held them had stopped talking. Feel the weight of that silence now. Imagine the mission control room, engineers staring at screens showing no new data. Like a heartbeat that simply ceases between one moment and the next. Part 4. The official story. NASA released a statement. Technical language, carefully worded. Maven had experienced an unexpected anomaly. Engineers were working to diagnose the issue. The spacecraft was approximately 10 years old, well beyond its primary mission duration. While built to last, all machines eventually experience failures. The statement mentioned, almost in passing, that data from recent observations, including images of 3I, Atlas, had been corrupted and were not recoverable, not lost, corrupted. As if Maven had taken the photographs, stored them, and then something had happened to the data itself. Scrambled bits, random noise. Information transformed into meaninglessness. The space community accepted this explanation with little question. Maven was old. Space is harsh. Hardware fails. It was unfortunate that the failure occurred right after photographing an interstellar object. But coincidences happen. The story was filed away. Mission engineers continued their recovery efforts. The world moved on. But let's pause here, in the comfortable darkness of your room, and consider what wasn't said. Part 5. The questions nobody asked. Maven had operated flawlessly for 10 years. Through solar storms that stripped away portions of Mars's atmosphere, radiation bursts that would have fried unshielded electronics, temperature extremes that cycled between scorching sunlight and frozen shadow. It had survived. It had adapted. It had continued its mission through conditions that would destroy most machines. And then, 42 hours after photographing an interstellar object, it experienced a catastrophic failure that not only stopped all communication but also corrupted specific data, just the images of 3I, Atlas. Not the atmospheric measurements from the same time period. Not the other routine observations. Just those particular photographs. Let your mind drift over this coincidence. Test its edges. Does it feel natural? Or does it feel like a shape that's been forced into a space where it doesn't quite fit? There's another detail, barely mentioned in official reports. Another spacecraft was watching. Mars Express, operated by the European Space Agency, had also been in position to observe 3I, Atlas. Its orbit around Mars brought it into viewing range around the same time as Maven. It, too, collected data. Spectroscopic readings, information about the object's composition, its surface properties, the way it reflected and absorbed light. Mars Express did not fall silent. It continued operating normally. Its data was received, stored, analyzed. But when journalists asked ESA scientists about their findings, about what they had detected from 3I Atlas, they declined to comment. Politely, but firmly. Please, direct all questions to NASA, they said. We're coordinating with our American colleagues on this matter. 2 spacecraft, 2 sets of observations. One goes silent, its data corrupted. The other continues working, but its operators won't talk. Breathe slowly. Let the pattern emerge in your mind like stars becoming visible as your eyes adjust to darkness. Part 6. The nature of the visitor. While Maven's silence deepened, 3I Atlas continued its journey, and as more telescopes tracked it, more anomalies emerged. The object showed no coma, no cloud of gas and dust that typically surrounds comets as they warm up approaching the Sunday. It produced no tail. It remained solid, dark, unchanging as it crossed through the inner solar system. Its trajectory was analyzed and reanalyzed. Unlike previous interstellar visitors that could be traced back to known star systems or general regions of the galaxy, 3I Atlas came from nowhere. Its path, when extended backward through time, led to empty space. The void between stellar neighborhoods, places where stars are sparse and isolated, where nothing should form, where no planetary system should exist to launch wayward objects into interstellar space. It was as if the object had simply appeared in that empty region, already moving, already on course. And there was something else. Something noticed by astronomers but discussed only in technical papers. Buried in sections about rotational dynamics and photometric data. 3I Atlas was spinning. All objects in space rotate, tumbling, spinning, wobbling as they travel. But 3I Atlas was rotating with unusual precision. Its period was almost exactly 24 hours. 23.93 hours, to be precise. The same as Earth. Let that coincidence settle over you like a blanket. An interstellar object, supposedly a natural fragment of rock and ice from some unknown system, spinning at the same rate as our home planet. Imagine a bottle tossed into the ocean, washing up on a distant shore, and when you open it, the message inside is written in your native language. Possible? Yes. Natural? Perhaps. But strange. Deeply strange. Part 7. The Approach. As summer turned to autumn in the year 2025, 3I Atlas continued inward. Its trajectory had been calculated precisely now. The object would make its closest approach to Earth on the 21st of December, the winter solstice, the longest night of the year in the northern hemisphere. The predicted distance, 1.2 million kilometers, about 3 times the distance between Earth and Moon. In cosmic terms, practically next door, closer than any confirmed interstellar object had ever come to our planet. Close enough to study in detail, close enough to photograph with moderate-sized telescopes, close enough that if it were to change trajectory slightly, unexpectedly it could alter its path significantly. Space agencies prepared their instruments. Amateur